Here's the story. Johnny the Mad Dragon, that had my mother by his side. They were four fans, certain that he obnoxious, but full of dragon's pride.
It's the story of the great Jesse Godfrey, with Big D Go-Go and Mr. Rob. Never Jesse's crew, so fierce and passionate, and the red V shine true. Till one day when Johnny met young Jesse, and they knew
It was much more than a hunt. That his group would form a fiery podcast. That's how we jumped off the dragon's back. That dragon's back. That dragon's back. That's the way we became the Mad Dragons. Come on, Dragons fans! Fire up!
Well, g'day Dragons fans and welcome. It's game day. Yes, I know we had trials last week, but they weren't real. I think this week, full round of rugby league action, and I know they're just trials, but they're fun. Rugby league is back on our screens. I think we've all been just chomping at the bit, ready to get into it. So let's go through a bit of a preview of the games, kicking off with the game tonight, Thursday night. Our Vegas teams are back. It's the Raiders up against the Sharks. The Raiders got the win against Penrith, while an understrength Sharks held on for a draw with the Warriors. This, though, is a different kettle of fish, very different teams for both sides. The Raiders will welcome new recruit Savelio Tamale, who appears to have the inside running to secure a seat on the plane to Sin City on the wing, while we also get first look at Sharks' new recruit, Adnfanua Blake. Still 26 to 28 players named, so don't expect a full hit out, but this should look more like the NRL than the games we saw in week one of the Witzer preseason challenge. Sharks have a stronger NRL team, I think, than the Raiders, but looking to the depth, the Sharks have still named a few of their players from the under-21 side that made the grand final last year, whereas the Raiders, I think, have got a bit more experienced, top 30 players in their depth on the bench for this game. Tough to pick trials, but I think it'll mean I lean more to the Raiders at home for the first time. I think they come away with it in a close one. I think it'll mean a little bit more to them. Early Friday game will be our first look at the Knights and the Eels, with both expected to compete, possibly compete for the spoon. I think everybody's ladders are very, very different this year, but I've seen a few ladders that have got the Knights or the Eels with the spoon. But that makes this a little bit of an interesting dynamic, I guess. Tough to get much of a read on the teams, but only a sprinkling of NRL talent in this game. I feel the Eels have more of their first choice spine, and with not much else separating these teams, that swings it to the Eels for me. Some players I'm looking forward to seeing from both teams. For the Knights, James Schiller, I've always liked him. Obviously, he spent some time in the Dragons' lower grades before he went to Canberra. Setini Takomo was Sharks jersey flag fullback. Made the grand final last year. He moves across to the Knights, so he'll come off the bench. And also Wilson DeCourcy. I liked a bit of what I saw of him in the SG Ball last season. Played for the Knights SG Ball. He was actually played against the Dragons when we flogged them in the preliminary final of the SG Ball comp last year. Well, for the Eels, our greatest ever signing, Ronald Volkman. Ronald Volkman lines up at halfback for the Eels. A former Bulldog Joash Papali'i on the bench. He's a live wire type and a player that I really enjoy watching. And the third player, I actually don't know this guy at all. I'm just really looking forward to seeing how they pronounce his name. Team Cum Brown. Team Cum. I'm sure it's Tien Cum or something like that, but it's... I don't know. When you see the name, number 28 for the Parramatta Eels, so I'm looking forward to seeing how Blocker handles that name when he gets on the field. The other Friday night game is a bit of a late starter in Cairns between the Cows and the Finns. First hit out means a lot of names you don't know, with Jackson Barlaw and the Cowboys front row pretty much rounding out the only Cowboys players that I know. While the Dolphins, they've got a handful more recognisable names, which gives them a slight edge. I've always liked Ben Stefanovic. He was at, I'm pretty sure, the North Sydney halfback in the New South Wales Cup for a few years. So it's nice to see him get a chance. Well, James Walsh came through the Dragons' lower grades, predominantly as an outside back, but he's transitioned to the back row in the last few years. Gets a chance on the edge here. And may partner with another Dragons junior in Max Fenai in his first game for the Redcliffe-based club. The Warriors, they've named a strong team for their first trial, and this one is reasonably strong too. They should get the job done against a young Storm team. Now, Hasman's boy, Jackson Ford, gets his first run, moved to the front row, and RTS comes in after being a late scratching in the first trial game. The Storm, they've got a big, scary-looking young forward pack headlined by new recruit Stefano Utoikamanu. So looking forward to seeing if they're as intimidating as they appear to be. There's some big bodies that they've got up front. So, looking forward to seeing what the Storm youngsters have to offer. It's probably one of my only concerns for the Melbourne Storm this year. I think they're, morals for the minor premiership at this stage, but I do have some question marks on their depth. So this might be a chance to get to see if that's a warranted concern, or they're going to be fine even if they do cop a couple of injuries. The Bunnies, they take on Manly in Gosford to round out the Saturday fun, and this looks to be one of the best trial of the weekend. Still a fair way from anything near full strength, but both teams have a fair bit of first grade quality. South, we'll get to see some new halves recruits. Jamie Humphreys from Manly with a bit of a point to prove, playing up against his old team, and Lewis Dodd from England as well. We get our first look at him in a Bunnies jersey. Well, Aaron Shop and Siwa Talkeaho, the newest Sea Eagles faces. Now, Dragons lower grader Ashton Ward is another new addition for South, and I honestly, I think you toss a coin for this one. I did earlier this morning. It came up Souths. 3 Sunday fixtures kicks off with the Broncos versus Titans in Toowoomba. The Titans team looks marginally stronger than Brisbane. The battle I'm really looking forward to is going to be later on in this game. Zane Harrison, Kobe Black. Zane Harrison for the Titans, Kobe Black for the Broncos. 2 of the best young halves in Queensland. Actually, I will say flatly, they are the 2 best halves in Queensland. So young halves, not overall. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing them go head to head. They're both on the bench, so it might be a little bit later on in the game. But 2 great young players that should provide a bit of entertainment and a bit of interest in this. Another one that might provide a little bit of interest for Dragons fans, Josh Corrick, gets a run for the Broncos. And another name some Dragons fans might remember is Luke Gale. He played in a trial game. I want to say 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. And a lot of Dragons fans sort of said, who's this bloke? They had no idea who he was. He came off the bench and played really well. And didn't really see him again after that. He disappeared, and he's ended up in he's been playing in the Q Cup for the last few seasons, but he gets another chance in an NRL trial. I think he's about 25 years of age now, but might be another one that interests some Dragons fans that remember him from that trial game a few years ago. Dogs versus Tigers has there's some interesting side shows, I think, in this one. My favourite is probably Jarrell Skelton, moving from the Dogs to the Tigers in the off-season. Again, any time that you come up against your old club for the first time, it's always interesting to see how it affects different players. I'm really looking forward to this halves pairing for the Tigers. Lockie Galvin, Latu Fainu. I think that's an exciting halves pairing, and it'll be great to see them go about their work. In the first week of trials, we saw a couple of grinding matches that really, for the purists, there's not too many trial purists, but in any case, they weren't overly entertaining fixtures. I think this is going to be a bit more fun. Both teams look like they've got some points in them. Dogs have named 29 players, while the Tigers only 24. That could be telling. But it could be telling either way. Either the Dogs will be fresher towards the end because they've got 29 players, or you get to the 29th player and the quality starts to really drop off for the Dogs, and the Tigers might finish over the top. So either way, we'll use that as the excuse as to why the team won that won. Hindsight, love it. I'm going to go with the Tigers, but honestly, none of these are with any sort of confidence. Finish off with the Dragons up against the Roosters. Go the mighty Dragons. The last game of the weekend. I can't believe we need to wait until the last game of the weekend before we finally get to see our boys out on the field. This is a pretty close to full-strength Dragons team. Full strength in terms of what's available. The only players that aren't playing are those that are injured. Everybody else is playing for the Dragons against a Roosters team that has more names that you've never heard than have. It seems like the most straightforward of the trials, but let's not totally discount the young Roosters. I know the old joke is that the Roosters don't have any juniors, but let's examine facts. They were minor premiers in under-21s in 2022 and 2023. They were minor premiers in under-19s last year, 2022 and 2021. They were fifth in under-17s last year, second in 2022. So they've got some very, very good young players that we might not know much about yet, but players like Toby Rodwell are very highly touted. Plus, they still have Radley, Wong, Butcher, Lenu, Townsend, Young, and there's some good judges picking Robert Toya to be the Rookie of the Year. The Dragons should win by 30, but don't sleep on this Roosters team. They'll have more fight than some think. Let's hope the Dragons can get it done in their first game. It's only a trial game. The result doesn't really matter, but want to see a good hit out, want to see all the things that we need to see from our club. Looking forward to having rugby league back on our screens. Come on, Dragons fans. Fire up!
Coco is at Penal's heart, she wears it on her sleeve. As Mustard tells tales of Dragons wins and Tudor victory. Tony and the MP crew will do their very best. Getting off topic and I digress with a red bee on our chest. The Mad Dragon podcast is a sheep of camaraderie. Navigating rants down rabbit holes in the land of the big red bee. And so our paddlers speak the tales and our pursuit is our dream. The Mad Dragon Podcast.